Welcome to the Fearless Life podcast. We're excited to be here, and we're glad that you are joining us today for episode number 12. Hey everyone, welcome in. It's great to have you today. We're glad that you're here, and today is a special day. We told you last time that we're going to have some guests with us today, and we'll get to them in just a moment. But how's it going, Sierra?
It's going pretty good. I've been sick again, so sorry about my voice. What's not as bad as last time we recorded this, though.
No, it's not.
That was rude.
So rude. So rude. Do you want to introduce our special guest for today?
Well, we have some important information to take care of first, as we normally do our weekly check of the weather. This is the weather sponsored by no one.
So sponsor us.
So it's currently 61 degrees with humidity at 43%, not too bad. And the high today is only supposed to be 64, so we're not going to get too much higher. Actually, it's only supposed to be 62, so we might only get one more degree.
If we're going to, while we're on this weather trek, on Christmas Day, the high's like 70 something.
Yeah, so what's up with that?
Like, I would rather today or next Wednesday be today's weather.
Yeah,
Christmas
I know.
is a week away, which by the time this podcast comes out.
The rest of this week is, low 60s. It gets to 59 Saturday for the low, the high actually. So yeah, Christmas Day is supposed to be 70. I don't know. Who knows, man? I can't figure it out. And I think even the weathermen, are kind of confused sometimes. I brought you a gift today. You might need this.
What's that?
It's silk. It's silk floss. We just had lunch recently, so I just thought I'd bring this to you in case you need it.
I thought those were mints.
That's so rude.
I should have brought mints. You might need those too.
Rude. Are you trying to say something?
Anyway.
Wow.
Bringing comedic relief to the people of the world.
I guess.
Well, we want to introduce to you our special guest today, my oldest daughter. I say it's me and my wife's together, of course. Our oldest daughter, Kelsey, and her husband, James, and the queen of the show, Miss Aria. Hi, Aria.
Say hello.
Hey, baby girl.
Say, I was supposed to be taking a nap.
Yeah.
Do that.
The nap didn't happen, so anyway, we're glad that y'all are here today, and we're going to talk about a little bit about their life. Going to ask you some questions about your personal life. Not get too personal, of course, but about ministry, what you're doing right now, and maybe some goals for the future and that kind of thing. So, do you have a question for?
Yeah, we'll start off strong. If you don't know, she's the older sister. Sometimes there was once or twice where I got asked if I was the older sister, and I was kind of offended, but it's fine. But she's the older sister, and so yeah, I just wanted to make that clear for everybody to know that's watching.
By 5 years.
By 5 years, yeah. And we've also been asked if we were twins before. Don't see it.
We don't look alike.
I don't
at all.
Y'all
don't
definitely do look alike.
No,
don't.
Yeah.
I guess our voices, I'll give people that. We sound similar.
Sometimes.
Aria's trying to tune us out right now. You can't tell because she's like, I don't want to hear it. No.
Sometimes on the phone, you guys do sound similar, and it's kind of creepy a little bit. But anyway, yeah.
Anyways, so my first question for you guys is, how did y'all meet? Where did y'all meet? How did you meet?
You had a longer trek to our city, so you can share.
how did we meet? Long story short.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was involved in Chi Alpha Campus Ministry as a student at Texas Women's University in Denton, Texas. And once I graduated, I worked for a little bit, but felt like God was calling me to do the internship with Chi Alpha. And so I ended up doing the internship at UL in Lafayette, University of Louisiana in Lafayette. So I moved there to do my internship. And at that time, James had just graduated from UL, but was still involved in Chi Alpha volunteering before he did his internship. So essentially, we met through Chi Alpha Campus Ministries in Lafayette, Louisiana.
Gotcha. Okay, so going off of how y'all meet. So you guys met through Chi Alpha. Like, can we just get just go in a little detail here? Like, was James, were you like, oh, like, that girl's kind of cute. Like, ooh, I could date her. Or was it like we all, okay, I know there were some rules and stuff. So was it like we all allowed to date?
He may not have even liked her at first.
I mean, he may not have. I don't know. John,
honestly, the other way around. I didn't like him at first.
Yeah.
So just don't have to give every detail, obviously, but just give us a little bit of like details of all that, how that worked out.
Yeah. So essentially, so there's this at UL, there's with Chi Alpha, there's this kind of Chi Alpha house with guys and girls. Guys stay separate from the ladies, but we share like a kitchen area in the living room and space and things like that. Mm-hmm. And so so we met during her intern year, and essentially so as a part of the internship, you're not allowed to like start a new relationship, really primarily just so one, like just being honest, like sometimes when you get to a point where you're in the internship, you get to a point where you just you can get very distracted just by trying to start a new relationship, and after the internship you might end up actually leaving from there and going to a new campus or whatever it is, right? And so during that time, me and Kelsey were like friends. We had the same friend group, but it wasn't really until probably maybe midway, probably through her internship, that I was like, oh man, she really loves the Lord. But then not only that, she was really willing to like serve, and she loved people well, like not just me, but a lot of her friends. She was willing to, even sometimes a lot of people to like drive her car to get to places and things like that.
By some people, he means him.
And by some people, I mean me. And so really just through the process of us being friends, and then really her second semester there is where I took interest in her, but couldn't do anything about it. But I did let her know my interest. And then kind of from there, we weren't able to really, like I said, do anything, but just it took time to pray, seek the Lord from there. And then once she finished the internship, that's when we went on our first date. Actually, she finished the internship on like a Friday. We went on the date on that Saturday. And so, So like from your point of view, were you seeing like, oh, he's kind of cute, like we have to wait? Like how was it?
At first there was no interest.
I was shorter than her.
Okay, well I wasn't going to say it, but he did. I was shallow. But I mean, again, we ended up in the same friend group and both living in the same like similar space. We just were able to spend a lot of time together and with our group of friends. And like just to see his heart for the Lord and like how quickly like the Lord was changing him. Just seeing his character became attractive. And I mean, like he had said, the spring semester, like I knew he was interested, but obviously, and I started becoming interested, but I was like, I can't, I'm not going to really go there until number one, I'm done, but also I know what like my next step is with the Lord. Because I knew for him, like long term, he wanted to do ministry, but I wasn't sure. I didn't know like exactly what that was going to look like for me either. So at first I was like, no, I didn't really have any, I wasn't like interested at first, but the more we hung out and spent time together, the more I was like, oh wow, like this dude's pretty cool. Yeah. He loves Jesus and he's cute. Lord.
And he's cute. I think that's so important though, because you both talked about how like, it was more like like James, like you said at first, it was more her heart for the Lord and like servant's heart. And then you were saying how, at first you're like, I don't really know. But then you're like, well, just seeing his heart for Jesus and all these things. I think that's so true though, because I feel like in a lot of relationships, that's how it was for John and I too. Cause I was like, it's just John. Like, absolutely not. That's weird.
That's literally, she would say, it's just John.
I know. But as like we became closer and closer, I was like, wow, like he really does love Jesus. And like and I've known him for a long time, like before we started dating, but I was like, it's weird. We're friends, So that's so true. But anyways, did you have a question?
Well, so I really didn't give a full introduction, but they are Chi Alpha Missionaries, and Chi Alpha is, of course, we may get into that a little bit later, but I just want to go ahead and say what Chi Alpha is, and where you did your internship, and then you ended up doing internship year after she did hers, right?
Yeah.
And so then once you left Lafayette, you went to UNO.
In New Orleans, yeah.
Yeah, University of New Orleans. And worked with the Chi Alpha ministry and group there. And you were there for a whole year before you got married, right? or
Yeah.
Because after I finished my internship, that summer we started dating, but then he started his internship in that August at UL. So that summer we started dating and I moved to New Orleans. He was still in Lafayette. So we dated kind of long distance, if you will, for that year. And then essentially we dated for a year and then he proposed after his internship ended. And yeah, he felt like through that process, obviously, he was figuring out what he was going to do next and ended up moving to New Orleans. And his plan was to move back in with his parents, but then we got engaged and got married. And so then he didn't have to move with them too long.
Yeah.
So you were there for a year, and then you got married, and then he was able to move in where actually your apartment was.
Yeah, when we got married,
After you got married. There in New Orleans, which that almost didn't happen because it was 2020. And of course, as everyone knows, shutdown started in March, and you wanted to get married in August, and it actually ended up happening. We did it in person. Might have shortened the list a little bit as far as who you invited, but still had a good number of people there, mostly family, but some friends as well. Yeah. And then you ended up being in New Orleans for a total of 3 years together.
3 years together, yeah.
Yeah, 3 years.
You were there 4, but together you were there 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then what, maybe a year and a half before you moved from New Orleans, when did God start speaking to your hearts about moving and starting this new venture?
Well, it was longer than that for him. The win happened about a year and a half before we moved, but you can share a little bit about how you...
So yeah, 2016 is actually when I was a junior in high school. College is when I felt the Lord begin to put on my heart about going to Southern University in Baton Rouge. And so Southern University is a HBCU, historically black college and university. And kind of, long story short, during that time, I was kind of trying to figure out, actually, before I dated Kelsey, I dated another young lady. And actually from that relationship, I realized I had not actually begun to pray about what God wanted me to do in my life. My plan was to do broadcasting, to be on ESPN, do Sports Center, things like that. But I had never realized that, like, I never gave over, like, my will and kind of my freedoms to the Lord. And so from there, begin to pray, and then begin to hear about how there were so many historically black colleges and universities that didn't have Christian organizations on there. So many campuses in America has so many different Chi Alphas or FCAs or like Baptist Student Ministries and things like that. But HBCUs were lacking a ton of just organizations on campus who were spreading the gospel. And so since 2016, it's kind of when the Lord began to put on my heart, about planting Chi Alpha at Southern University. So
at Southern specifically
at Southern University.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Which we realized later on, that was in 2016. Yeah. The end of 2015 is when I started to feel the call to ministry full time.
That's interesting.
So it was just a few, because I think it was, or maybe it was the end of 2016. I think it was within. Sorry about that. It was within several months.
That's real life for everybody.
Sorry. It was within several months that we both felt called to ministry full time. So that was pretty cool to go backtrack and realize.
Yeah, we actually just realized that within the last year. Yeah. We had never actually talked about the timing of which we felt like the Lord was calling us to these places.
Well, I think that's good to know, and even make notes of that yourself, because it's so true, man. The more time passes by, the older you get, man, you forget about a lot of the details in your life. And if you can somehow journal that, make note of that, then when you get older, you'll be able to look back and you go, oh, I forgot about that, or when that happened, or how that happened, or that even happened. It's the way it works, unfortunately. But I think that's good to do. To make sure that you really keep track of what God's doing in your lives and what He's doing both personally and in ministry. Obviously with, Aria and then kids to come, what has God done and how has He worked, through that? So you start talking to them, what, about a year and a half or so before you actually move, you start really talking about it, or God starts moving on your heart and saying, hey, I think you need to start getting ready? How did that work?
Yeah, so essentially, so Kelsey was already in New Orleans. Whenever I moved to New Orleans, the year after I finished my internship, I ended up having a conversation with our Louisiana Chi Alpha State director. His name is Eric True. And pretty much after the internship, I was like, hey, I felt like God called me to it in 2016. And I had already kind of started talking to him even as a student. But it was like, okay, go through the internship. You know, you got to go through some fire before you like really know if you're really called and things like that. And so finished the internship, talk with him. And then it was like, okay, let's get trained up. Let's take 2 or 3 years. And then once you get through that, then see. And then pretty much probably my second year on staff with Chi Alpha, her third year is when we began to have a conversation with our directors, Christine and Bubba Johns at UNO, and that's when it was like, okay, we're serving at UNO, but we feel like the Lord is like still wanting us to move from UNO, the University of New Orleans, to go to Southern University. So
yeah, so it really, I mean, when he came on staff with UNO, like our directors there knew like the ultimate goal would be to go and pioneer Chi Alpha at Southern eventually.
So it wasn't something that you kept secret necessarily. You told them up front, hey, this is our desire and where we feel God's leading us ultimately.
Yeah.
And we knew that they could train us, and we wanted them to train us in that direction. And it really, the last year is when she started training us more as directors. But they knew really from the get-go, at least once he moved, that was our long-term goal. Like, but we just didn't know when. And I had a commitment until the spring, like May of 2022, like that was my commitment at UNO anyway. So we knew we were going to be there till then, but it was probably that school year, fall 21 to spring 22, that we really began to pray, okay, God, when do you want us to go?
Sure. Yeah. Okay. So what are some of your future goals for the ministry? You guys, I mean, you've been there 3 semesters now. This is the end of the 3rd semester.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I mean, the move, we could talk about the move and that whole process, because before we start going into future goals, I mean, the whole process, as I'm thinking about it, just from what I know, God really works some miracles in various areas.
Yeah.
I mean, getting connection with people there at the school, housing, all these different things, church life and all those things. So talk a little bit about that, how that transition happened and how God just performed some miracles, really.
Yeah. Our last semester at UNO was spring of 2022, spring of 2023. Spring of 2023.
She's not happy. She wasn't able to watch videos anymore.
Spring of 2023, and pretty much from there, Aria was actually born in March, and so we had already kind of started to take a step out from UNO. We began to just kind of focus in on the family, but then also just kind of like finish well at UNO as well, and then pretty much from there, our church sent us out, and so we had a great church in New Orleans called Saints Community Church. They sent us out, prayed for us, but also gave financially to help us kind of get the ministry off the ground. We ended up moving, actually, I think July 1st, to Baton Rouge. Really through that process, the Lord did a lot. I think one of the things was our director, Christine, she's really passionate about like transitioning well.
Sure.
And there's been times where maybe people haven't, like, they've left the ministry and like haven't, like, just haven't transitioned well. And so, Christine helped us transition well. Like we tried to make sure that we left everything like better than what we found it. But then really that summer, kind of something I was sharing with our students this past semester, was that when we moved to Baton Rouge, we actually had not raised all the support we needed when we got to Baton Rouge. Like we were still waiting on certain, like, still people who were giving financially to actually give during the summer. And so we kind of moved by faith, believing that God would help us pay our rent, or help us pay, the light bill, help us pay, whatever else that we needed to get paid. And so, yeah.
So, I mean, do you have anything else to add to that part?
Yeah.
The transition?
Well, I think, like the transition was crazy. Yeah, we had a 2-month-old move into a new city in the new house, new ministry, new everything, new church. But yeah, you asked about like administration in the school and everything. And yeah, I mean, essentially when we got there over the summer, we tried to go up and meet some of the administration over the summer when it wasn't hectic for them. And so that was really helpful. I think just, we want to build a relationship with people. We want them to know that we're not just there to like get from them, but we also want to serve. And I think through that, and building a relationship, fortunately, we were really well received. In the student affairs office, they essentially just welcomed us. And by the spring semester, we were able to become an official student organization, which for most of our friends who are at HBCUs, it took them at least 1.5 to 2 years to become an official student organization. Wow. So as far as that goes, like God really opened up doors for us. Absolutely. For that. And even before we were an organization, we were able to reserve rooms like to meet for life groups or for events that we had. And so, that transition was super smooth as far as that goes. I mean, because really our first few weeks on campus, we were quite literally just going up to people and being like, hey, we're a new ministry on campus. Like, you want to come to our life group, our Bible study? Hey, we're a faith-based organization. Like just literally walking up to people and being like, hey, this is who we are. You want to come be a part? We believe in Jesus. And so, obviously a lot of challenges, a lot of struggles, a lot of things that we had to overcome, even in my own fear, I guess, and my own, hesitations. But as far as the transitions, like God really opened the door for us that first semester.
Yeah, absolutely. And you got an opportunity, wasn't there at least one time when at the beginning of school when a lot of organizations are in that one area, what's that area called?
It was the
like the event center.
The event center. Event center.
You guys were able to have a table there and information, and I mean, it looked really sharp. Yeah. You had the little banner beside it. I mean, so it really presented itself in such a way that you were showing them, hey, we're not just a fly-by-night organization. Yeah. We've really done the footwork and preparation, and we want to do everything we can to come into this school and build relationships, as Kelsey said, and continue this information or this ministry in a way that's maybe not expected, but yet powerful and effective. Yeah. The way God provided for you guys in the way of a house and, not knowing. And I know we went one time with you, and at least once, and we went to Baton Rouge from New Orleans, and looked at houses and all that, and you're like, maybe, no, okay, this might work. And so God provided that, and provided a local church that you could be a part of. And so, I mean, God just did things one after another, didn't he?
Yeah, no, he did.
I mean, it was amazing. So what are some of your future goals in regards to ministry and family and personal life?
Yeah.
Well, family and personal life, we would like to have more children one day. Yeah. Whenever the Lord allows that. Yeah. We actually joked the other day, I'm like, I don't know if I want to buy a house at this point. Maybe if the market continues to improve and the interest rates continue to come down. But for ministry, I mean, what's the goal? 20 life group leaders in 5 years is our goal. Right now we have 6, 3 students, and then the 3 staff. So, but we want 20 life group leaders within the next 5 years would be awesome. And the reason for that is just because we want to be able to expand our reach on campus. It's not because we want to just say, oh, we got 20 life group leaders. Right. But no, it's like we want to be able to expand our reach on campus. We want athletes to be life group leaders. We want people in Greek organizations to be life group leaders. We want students who are a part of, Southern is huge and really, they push being involved in extracurriculars and all these extra organizations. So students who are in honors and all these things to be life group leaders. And then a dream that we have.
Big dream.
Like James, when he, kind of gives the vision of Chi Alpha, like this, let me see if I can do his little spiel. Like, as you drive onto campus, there's this thing called the hump. It's like a bridge as you drive onto campus. And as you drive onto campus, there's 2 empty buildings. There's an empty Methodist ministry building and an empty Baptist ministry building. And that's really a reflection of campus. Like you see these ministry things and it kind of looks like there's a lot of things going on spiritually. And if you walk around campus, a lot of people will say their heart is like they love God or they're Christians or whatever, but living it out is the disconnect. A lot of people go to church, a lot of people go to Bible studies, but to truly live for Jesus is something that, like we are there to help students learn and understand. And so these two empty, vacant buildings, when you first drive onto campus, is a dream for us to hopefully one day be able to purchase one of them, to be able to have a facility on campus that allows us to host events, allows us to host games, allows us to host worship nights, because it's literally on campus. And so a big dream would be to purchase one of those buildings, to be able to call like the Chi Alpha Ministry Center or the Chi Alpha building or whatever, I don't know, to have right on campus, just a place to meet with students and to have events and stuff. So that's like the big dream, to be able to purchase one of those.
Yeah. Well, I think God has definitely done some great things. And as we know, I definitely relate when you say it's not just to have, so you can say you've got big numbers in your leadership or doing life groups or whatever it is. I mean, we feel the same way. I tell people around here at Fearless Life Church all the time, look, I don't want to grow the church in respect to numbers of people who attend, just so I can say, yeah, look at us, we've got however many, coming to the church. What that does for me, and it should do for everyone, is that each number represents a soul. And so I think, if I'm understanding it right, that's the same kind of, I guess, goal that you guys have, is not just mere numbers, but numbers that represent souls. And that means that you're able, like you said, to further your reach and get more people into Chi Alpha, and through that, hopefully help them grow in their relationship with the Lord. First of all, introduce them to Jesus, and then help them grow in their relationship with the Lord. And so you guys have got some great goals. God has done some great things so far, and I know that he will continue to. And we really appreciate you guys spending time today.
I still think there's one more question that we missed.
What?
With this being the Fearless Life podcast.
Yes.
What were your biggest fears?
Oh, yeah.
Starting a new Chi Alpha.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot. I think one of the first ones was going on campus and just not knowing what was going to happen. And so, you go on campus, you're trying to, you're kind of telling people about Jesus, but like when you first get on campus, you're just trying to make friends. You're just trying to like build relationships. You're just trying to like find common ground with people. Kelsey and I are now 29 years old. And so, trying to, we have to work really hard to continue to find common ground with 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds. And so I think that was one of the biggest fears, is just not trying to figure out, hey, how are we going to, how are we going to, connect with people? And then like, it's cool to like talk about having faith and being like, yeah, God can do it. But like, it's another thing to like show up on campus with nobody, like the only ministry is like our family and Tyler, who's on staff with us. Yeah. So I think that was just a fear of like, okay, is anybody actually going to be a part? And like having to leave that to the Lord. Yeah. But again, it's cool to like think about it, but it's scary in the moment.
Sure. Yeah. So sure.
Yeah. Shoot, there was a lot. I mean, I think moving. Yeah, becoming new parents, that's scary in and of itself. Yeah. And then we're moving, and thank God we have friends that are at LSU Chi Alpha, which is 15 minutes from us. Our church family, our pastor and his family has been so incredible to us. But just like moving and not knowing, like, I don't know how to be a parent. I don't know what I'm doing. Plus trying to start a new ministry. There was a lot of fear that happened in regards to that. But then if it's not obvious, I'm white. Okay.
I was going to say something about this too. Yeah.
And we're going to an HBCU.
Right.
And I had zero fear about being at an HBCU. Like I've created a lot of friends and now family that are in the Black community. But I honestly was more afraid of like, man, I don't want to do things that are going to like block somebody from receiving Jesus. There are like some people, there are things that they have to work through before they can come to Jesus anyway. Like just looking at me may cause a stumbling block, but like, I don't ever want to say anything or do anything or respond in a way that is going to be hindering to somebody coming to know Jesus.
Sure.
And so when it comes to, sorry, our daughter's like dancing over there. But when it comes to like being a white woman on campus, like I wanted to just be as much of a representation to Jesus as I could. And I wanted, not that I even cared about being received well because I want people to like me, but I wanted to be able to build relationship with women to get to the place where they could trust me and the ministry and really be able to like surrender their life to Jesus. And I don't know, I've been very like honored in the relationships that I've been able to create with some of these girls. Like some of them call me sister. We made a joke, like, you know, you can't make this joke with everybody, but one of the girls made a joke that we looked alike, and she's, you know, she's black. I'm white, but like, just like, it was sweet because we act a lot alike. We're goofy, you know? And so just to be able to like have those moments to where like I celebrate the Black culture, I honor the Black culture, and there are differences. We're not all the same, and I think that's the beautiful part of the kingdom of God. Like we shouldn't be all the same. But yeah, that was a fear I had. Like I really hope that I am able to position myself to where these women would be able to see Jesus and hopefully heal some of the hurt that maybe somebody who is white has caused, or somebody who is a Christian and white has caused to them, and hopefully be a healing place for some people. So
yeah, and I was gonna say, like, I just give kudos to Kelsey, and just like she went into Southern with just like a ton of humility, and like I've never asked Kelsey to not do something because she's white. She just always been like, hey, like I want to go in with a heart of like humility of like, she like, we never had a discussion of like, hey Kelsey, you should probably like, you know, really like try to, you know, be humble in this area. Like she's always taken that position of humility, really no matter where she's gone, but specifically at Southern. And so yeah, like that's just another part of just like, salute and kudos I just give to her, because it's all like, it's been very evident to our students as well. Like she didn't go into Southern trying to be anything that she wasn't. She just been who she is. And so, yeah.
So with like going off of that, like, has there been any, I mean, I know we're about to end this, but real quick, has there been anything, you don't have to go into detail either, but have there been any difficult situations or friendships with other girls that are like, wait a minute, like, I don't trust you, or I don't know about this. Like, have you run into hard things like that before? Cause I can only imagine, like, you know, so I just, again, you don't have to go into detail, but like, has there been sometimes where it's like, they're like, I don't know about this, like this HBCU, like kind of thing. Like, like even with, when you went to Texas Women's, that was supposed to be an all women's campus, but there were men there, you know, I know that's not the same thing, but just kind of trying to give people an idea of what we're talking about here. Like, was there any difficult thing, or has there been any issues with anything like that?
I mean, overall, no, like, for the most part, no, and nobody to my face, right? Like everybody has been really great, you know, and like, no, I've not had any like confrontation. There was one girl who came to, I met her at like a table, like the organization fair he was talking about, like where all the organizations were. I met her there, got her number. This was in the fall. This was our first semester. Anyway, she comes to a life group, realizes that I'm the one leading it, says she has to leave because she has homework. And then I find out she had talked to one of our other staff member and found out that like part of it, not everything, but part of it was because she didn't realize that I was the one leading it. And so like that sucked, honestly. But from the place of like, man, it just feels like I wish we could, I want to have a conversation. I still want to have a conversation with her, and I've seen her and we're nice to each other. It's fine. I mean, I'm not mad about it. The reality is she's probably been hurt. And that's not by me personally, but she's probably been hurt. And so I'm, again, trying to take the place of humility. It's not about me. That's the only thing that I know about, where somebody has not come to something or not been part of Chi Alpha because the fact that I'm white. And we actually have 2 other white students in the ministry too. But it is, I mean, Southern is 94% African-American students. So, but yeah, overall, no. And again, even if somebody were coming to my face and say, I'm not coming to this because you're white. Okay, well, I just want you to know I love you and the Lord still loves you. And that's it. So cool.
Well, God's really given you both favor in both at UNO and at Southern, and you can see it. And as you know, Mom and I both have prayed a lot for you and with you. And it's exciting for us to see all the things that have happened and are happening now. And it's exciting to think about the future plans and what God will do and how he's provided for you in every sense of the way. I mean, whether it be spiritual blessing, financial blessing, which is always a key. And, you know, some people don't realize this is what you do full time.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have a job on the side. This is what you do full time. And so you rely upon the financial support of churches, individuals, couples, whoever, to help you find a way to serve God in this way full time. And so I know that God will continue to perform miracles in your lives, and I know that he'll continue to give you favor in every area that you need, for sure. We really appreciate you guys coming on today and sharing your hearts and telling us a little bit about your personal lives as well as ministry. And we just want to remind you watching today, this podcast exists to offer you a way to overcome fear from a biblical perspective. And through that, bring a renewed sense of hope and encouragement. And as you experience increasing victory over fear, I pray and I hope that you can come to know what it really truly means to live a fearless life. We're not obviously talking about devoid of fear fully. I mean, we all have fear in our lives at different times. But as I've said many times on this podcast, I pray that we experience that fear, anxiety, worry, overwhelming stress for a moment and not stay there, not live there. And so just as I normally do at the beginning of the podcast, but I'm doing it at the end today, I want you to make this declaration with me. Fear will not overtake me. And you can put in that not just fear, but anxiety, worry, overwhelming stress will not overtake me, but I will overcome fear by my faith in God. And it's God who takes us from 0 to 100, and it's not in nothing flat, but it's over a period of time, and it's over experiences. And as we learn who God is and how he can work and the power he has. 2 Timothy 1:7 is our key scripture, as you know, for God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of love and power and a sound mind. And Isaiah 35:4 finally says, say to those with fearful hearts, be strong and do not fear, for your God is coming to destroy your enemies. He is coming to save you. He loves you. He cares about you, and he wants you to know him in a very personal way and know that his power is overwhelming. He wants to help you through every situation in life. Amen.
That's good.
Yeah.
Well, don't forget to, oh my gosh, stutter much? Don't forget to subscribe if you're on YouTube, like, share, all the things. If you're on Spotify, like and follow the page. Don't forget to leave a comment. And if you have any prayer requests, you can comment them or email us at fearlesslifepodcast@gmail.com.
All right. Well, listen, thanks again for joining us today on Fearless Life Podcast, and we look forward to seeing you next time. God bless you.
Bye.